Hey there, how you doing? Welcome to Brosé. Just a couple of bros drinking rosé and talking fitness. I'm Mike Gary, the strongest comedian in the whole freaking world, and I'm here with Dustin Nelson, doctor of Chinese medicine, strength coach, acupuncturist, herbalist, kinesiologist, yada yada yada. Point is, we're here to help you sift through all the BS in the toxic fitness industry and help you find some nuggets of truth. And then we become closer as a family along the way. Right?
It's nice of you to say.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love you.
I love you too, Mike.
You heard him. Let's get the show started, shall we? We always start with Q&A. These are Q's, which means questions. You guys send them to us, and then we answer them. We figure them out together, and we become a closer family along the way.
Yeah, it's a very family-oriented episode, apparently.
First question. Is rewarding yourself with junk food after a hard week of exercise and dieting a bad idea psychologically?
No.
Well, because I'll tell you what, I've heard other, people on TV say, don't reward yourself with food, you're not a dog. Because that's how we train dogs,
Well, let's go back to the root of that with a reward. And if you're rewarding yourself, what you're saying is you're going to do something, you're going to act in a certain way, you're going to achieve something, you're going to do something you otherwise don't want to do. And once you've done that, you're going to give yourself something that makes it all worthwhile, right? That it's an achievement-based outcome. And for many people, myself included, I really enjoy food. And I really enjoy certain foods that are probably not contributing to my health benefit, but they do in fact contribute to my psychological benefit. And don't forget, we talk about this, but enjoyment is a nutrient.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah? Well, good, because then the next part of this will make even more sense, which is I can't lean heavily on enjoyment to deliver all the other nutrients to my body. If I want to eat Oreos and chocolate mousse and pizza, and I eat the 80% of my diet consists of that type of nutrient, I'm not going to like the outcome. I'm not going to like the way I feel. I'm not going to like the way I look. But that is an important bit to our life where we can enjoy the foods that we're eating. And we want to try to find a way to keep them to, keep them to a smaller portion of our diet. So for some people, that's 10%. Some people, that's 20% of their diet, where they get that kind of freedom to eat what they want. And that's really determined by the outcome you're looking for. If what you want to do is walk around with like ab veins and have very low body fat, you're probably going to treat yourself far less than you would if you say, hey, I want to keep myself on the road and eat nutrients and eat foods that are nutrient dense, that are good for my body and help me feel better Monday through Friday, and then on the weekend I'm going to allow myself to enjoy foods, and that's the way I like to live my life.
I'll tell you what, that makes me yo-yo a little bit when I do that.
Does it?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, and see, this is something we do with people a lot, is figure out what your natural rhythm might be and why that's there. So some people want the escape from food. That's a big driver of behavior when you're trying to get behavior modification, is whether I'm trying to escape from an issue and I'm dealing with stress that way, or if I just like the sensory aspect of it, I'm in the habit of doing it, I don't really enjoy it, I just like that crunch, right? Or I just like to snack on something. Trying to figure out what's at the root of why we do that can also help us overcome it.
Okay, get out of my head, Dustin.
Is that something you do?
Oh, you know what? It's actually time to move on to the next question.
Okay, well, we're going to come back to that.
To sum that up, I would say enjoyment is like sodium. It's necessary, but too much of it can be bad.
Good job.
That's pretty good, right?
That was pretty good.
You cannot use that. Next question. If losing weight is not my goal, is fasting still beneficial?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
How long and for what? Or for what and how long?
Okay, it depends. What most people will say when they're saying fasting is really, there's lots of, when we look at the matrices of fasting, there might be as many as 72 different variables that we're looking at here, okay? And so if I say fasting to most people today, again, it's the marketing of the fitness industry getting on something and saying, hey, don't eat 12 hours a day, fast. Well, that's really just reducing your feeding window. And that is a form of fast, but it's a very specific form of fast. For most people, if you reduce their caloric intake, they will see weight loss as an outcome. However, the benefits to fasting that most people would benefit from, or the reason they would go after it in the first place, is because it can have effects on longevity. It actually can boost your sirtuins and activate your sirtuins, which are kind of like the CEOs of your cell. Now
I know what sirtuins are.
Cool. So
I didn't.
they help us with our NAD. They help us create cell replication, our ability to repair cells, our ability to wound heal, right? And so it's those two things working in concert that can help reduce aging. Now, as our NAD drops as we age, the efficacy of our sirtuins can also drop. So one of the things we can do, there's certain foods that will boost our sirtuins, and there's activity like exercise that can boost their activity. One of the other ways that we can do it is by fasting.
So that's interesting.
So that's a good way to do it.
What fasting protocol would you do if that was your goal, longevity?
It depends on the person, but you might want to do like a water fast or something for like a day every
24
month
hours?
or something like that.
Once a month?
North of 16 hours seems to have a positive effect on the sirtuins. North of 12 hours will, but north of 16 to 24, once a week, maybe twice a month.
All right.
Once a month.
Well, it's kind of complicated. If you want more details, shoot Teddy Duxton a call here. Give him your phone number.
Not doing that.
DM me, I'll give it to you.
There you
Next
go. I
question.
like that idea.
Why do, I wrote this one, full disclosure, why do professional strongman competitors get massages all the time when they're at competition or when they're in training? Because I feel like, we've talked about how massaging is not great for recovery because it further damages your muscle that's already a little damaged from weightlifting.
Yeah.
But these guys, they're supposed to have the most money and experts around for this kind of exercise, and they got
strongman
people running floor waxers on their legs and stuff. Okay, probably not the money, but like the three strongmen that people have heard of do have enough money for better help.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
That's a very closed off community. A lot of the stuff they do is actually not driven by research or science and proven techniques. A lot of those guys are just kind of grip and rip. They experience things and so
it's passed down from strongman to strongman.
To strongman. Yeah, it's your grand strongman would give you your strongman father a recommendation. But in reality, if you're going to do an event like something surface level to move blood and drive the nervous system pre-event, that can be a good thing. It really has.
Waxers for?
Might be. It really has to do with the frequency, so there might be some benefit to that. I don't know. Maybe the guys just really like to be touched, and they're otherwise, closed off
so
to
maybe
love.
I don't know what the fuck they're doing, and I shouldn't judge.
Here's what I can tell you is that pre-event or pre-workout, you probably don't want to do a massage. You can increase the frequency of your movement either through warm-up and or stretching dynamically that's not sedating the muscle, and that would actually increase your power output. Get spit
You hear
shine
that,
before
Brian
it
Shaw? You should be hiring me, and then you got to tell me what to do.
It is interesting though for a lot of people that will look at pros and think, well, the pros do this, so I should do this. Often they're not getting sage advice. There are people at the top who have experts in the field and they get really good advice, but for every one of those, there's 10 more who are just doing something that their buddies told them was good too.
It's interesting
Sound
that
familiar,
like
Mike?
strongman competitions, but these guys are doing a sport that have events that are like 1,000 years old, some of them, so maybe that's also where they're getting their info. Like the good old Nordic rock pickup event. Next question. Is beer a suitable pre-workout or post-workout beverage? Keep in mind, Guinness has vitamins.
It does. No, it's not. I have seen this a bit out in the interwebs of people saying that, kind of bro science-y to do it, but no, it's a terrible idea. I think that my observation, you tell me what you think of this. I think what I've seen and heard, and I think what this is in reference to, is the people on the internet who are like, post-workout, I drink a beer, blah, blah, blah. It is not a good idea pre-workout to put alcohol on board, and putting alcohol on board post-workout is also not a good idea because it's pro-inflammatory. It can reduce protein synthesis. The alcohol in there can negatively affect your sleep, which can drop your growth hormone. It can delay the repair process. Like there's potential benefit. Oh, it relaxed me, cool. And there's carbs. Okay, fine. but not all carbs are created equal. So like sugar's good, but fructose is not going to feed the muscle as well as, fruit's not going to feed the muscle as well as rice. Alcohol consumption, beer included, has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 negative attributes that would reduce or mitigate the con or the pro. So this is not, do not drink beer after you train and expect that it's going to benefit you. If anything, it will slow your progress. And no, it's bro science.
All right.
Bad
Well,
bro science.
I'm just going to finish up this segment by saying if you ever want to watch me slam a 40 in deadlift, come on over to my garage. You don't know if I'm joking.
No, I didn't.
That's the benefit to being a friend of mine. Speaking of not knowing if I'm joking or not, Dustin, I want to give you 2 truths and a lie about my body and myself. And then Dustin is going to give me as many truths as he can about myself, because maybe there's something I don't know about myself.
You want me to tell you something about yourself that you don't know?
Not yet. Let me give you the 2 truths and a lie. Guess the lie.
Okay.
and then fix my body. 1.
No pressure.
Every time I eat raw vegetables, it makes my throat itch. 2. Milk gives me diarrhea, but ice cream does not. 3. Coffee just makes me feel bad. What's the lie?
Coffee makes you feel bad.
That is a lie. Coffee makes me feel happy. Hard to get through the day without it.
Actually, it's a sirtuin activator.
Really?
Coffee is, yeah. So there's benefits to that in the ritual and the habit, and it does make people enjoyment's a nutrient. Keep that in there, and it also may act as a intestinal expediter in terms of peristalsis. So no, those are all good things.
Peristalsis? That mean if you're constipated, it can help?
Yeah. But as far as the dairy bit, that's very common. Human beings generally lack the enzymatic ability to break down dairy or milk proteins, the lactose, the sugars in there, and they react to them negatively past the age of like 2 years old.
Well, yes. Okay. So if you have dairy and you react negatively, that's some evidence that you don't do well with dairy, right? But I react negatively to some forms of it.
Yeah.
Equally, I don't react negatively to just as many different forms of it.
Yeah.
So the evidence also exists that I don't have a problem.
It's probably not just the dairy. It's also probably the level of emulsifier that's being placed into it and how well it's treated. So if you're taking raw dairy and you're having issues with that, like milk, for example, or cheese or whey proteins that are concentrate and not isolate, those are going to be things that are on the end of, hey, people tend to not only have issues with the dairy, they also tend to have issues with the emulsifiers that are in there. They tend to have issues like carrageenan.
Oh.
They tend to have issues with also other pro-inflammatory components to those food items. When it comes to the ice cream, they're often treated with other things. And so what you'll see with people is like, I went to Europe and I was totally fine on the food over there. It's different chemical structures, right? So maybe they have less lactose, maybe they're not being treated with an emulsifier or preservative, and that's what really the person's reacting to. But the bit about your veggies would indicate that your entire intestinal tract, you're having some level of food exposure sensitivity, not just to the food itself, but to chemicals. So raw vegetable consumption versus cooked vegetable consumption would indicate that there's something there about the cleaning and treating of it. And when you talk about that of being milk versus ice cream, what we're dealing with is the treating. So it's not
either way, it's the man messing with my food.
It's probably what's added to it that you're having the issue with. Yeah.
Once again, nothing wrong with me. This is the lightning round, folks. This is where I ask Dustin as many questions as we can before the show runs out of time.
Okay.
And then you just get more bang for your buck that way.
Did you just draw? Is that just a cue for you to be
yeah,
like?
this is how I know when it's lightning round.
That's the saddest lightning bolt.
We are.
It's kind of thick.
Yeah. Not sponsored by any sports beverages. Just a good old-fashioned
I don't think
lightning
anyone
bolt.
would ever think that was Gatorade.
All right, here we go. Remember, Dustin, I'm judging you. Will refusing to ejaculate help me train for the big fight?
Might.
Might?
Yeah.
All I need to know. That's how I refuse. What's the best pre-workout meal / food item?
Depends on what you're training for, but probably protein and carbs.
Eggs?
Could be. Rice and chicken.
Rice and chicken?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you already answered differently, so that one's you lose a point. What's the percentage of Athlete X videos on the internet that are actually helpful information?
they probably help some person at very
Out
frequently.
of all the videos, what's your guess on the percentage of good ones, helpful ones?
20.
20%. That's not 100. Next question. Should I get a sunrise alarm clock?
Sure.
Really? Hey, that's Brosé, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We've been a couple of bros drinking rosé and talking fitness. In case you weren't paying attention, I'm Mikey G here with Dr. D, here to remind you to get your bros spayed and neutered. I'm going to keep saying it as long as you keep not liking it.